Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday with the band. What is it today? The 7th of April. It's a Wednesday here at Noonish, as we call it, Noonish, and welcome to the program. And I'm going to get right to it today because I have a guy I met through the jam session, we're going to say, at the Bell and the Bear. And since then, I've just admired his music so much, everything he does, and had some fun seeing all the bands he's in. So without any further ado, let me introduce our guest for the day on Wednesday with the band here at All Around Town Radio is Mr. Kevin Cooper. How you doing, Kevin?
Scott, I am good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. It's great to have you on the program. You know,
I'm glad we finally made this work. We had a go round about 2 months ago where I still got one of those day jobs, and I just got dumped on. We had it set, okay, 1 o'clock Wednesday, we're going to do it. And then my schedule, like 11 to 5, just boom.
Well,
we made a mess of things. So
we never even get a chance.
Second shot.
We never even get a chance to talk. Most of the times I'm either at one of your shows or the jam session, which is crazy busy. And, it's good to sit down and talk with you and get some history behind you. We've got some people checking in today. Hi, Stephen Bell, Ryan Schwab in the house. We know Ryan, our great photographer. And thanks for joining us today, guys. If you have a question for Kevin as we go today, drop it in the comments. We'll see if we can get it up there for everybody. And hi, Luann. Good to see you. And everybody's watching on lunch. I like that today. That's perfect. So thank you for coming into the program. Kevin, let's get started. First of all, I want to know a little history about Kevin Cooper and how long you've been playing music and where it all goes back to.
Yeah, it's been so long that I barely remember not being able to do something. I started playing acoustic guitar when I was 7, and that at this point was 42 years ago, if you'll believe that. So
wow.
My dad is a rhythm guitar player, still plays a bit in his church. Actually, he's an ordained minister up in Muncie, Indiana, which is where I'm from. So he had taught me a few chords back when I was 7 years old. It wasn't really very good, as you might expect, for a little while. Not that I'm the greatest now, but teenage years, I kind of got out of it a little bit, and then really in high school started to collaborate with other musicians, and then got into a college band, and we did a few little like dorm gigs and that kind of thing here and there, and got out of college, got back out of it for a couple more years, and then about 1996-97 time frame, I moved to Cincinnati and started joining up in the original music scene, and was playing a combination of lead guitar and bass, just kind of depending on what the gig called for. And really the common denominator for me has always been the vocals. So going into whatever band required the vocals and such. I remember about 2006 time frame, I was in an original band called the Family Trucksters, which is almost not even worth mentioning because we only played, I think, for 3 or 4 shows.
That's a great name.
We were at Stanley's Pub, and it just so happened that night Kevin Fox Band was opening for my band, which in retrospect makes no sense whatsoever. They were a way bigger the band than my band was. But then I started developing more of a kind of a friendship with Kevin, and he asked at one point if I wanted to join his band. Now, if you ask him the same story, he's going to say that I begged to join his band. So I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree. But he invited me in primarily because he needed another backing vocalist, and he asked, like, "Are you a decent keyboard player?" And I'm like, yeah. So I went home and woodshedded like crazy on keys for about a month, but I also played some guitar with him as well for a while, and then really from that point on, it's just been kind of like a chain reaction. Like, so John Michael and I were in the Kevin Fox Band together. We formed the Fun Size later. In the midst of that, I joined the Hanky Panks, which is this one right here, and then just various duos and such. And I started up the solo project about 5 years ago, and I've just had fingers in a little bit of everything. And over the last year with COVID and all, where we shut everything down for 2 months, I had to pivot over to doing a lot of Facebook Live stuff, and then got back out there. And Eyes Up Here, the duo really started to take off, and then we started this a few different open jams and things that kind of turned into more like a structured jam session like we have now. We started out doing something at Diggs in Mason last summer. Karis checked it out, wanted to do something maybe a little similar, but maybe a little more amped up in full band at the Bell and the Bear. So we started that up in around September, October time frame, and it's just been a whirlwind. I mean, we've had a lot of cool stuff happen.
Well, and you know, you're selling yourself short, first of all, in the guitar work and the you know, the vocal ability. And what I admire about you guys, especially what I've seen at the jam session, is how well you can kind of hit the ground running and play just about anything somebody throws at you. As long as it's been a cover song or something, you guys can pretty much muddle through it if you have to, and get it done for the person. And that's really amazing to me. Just that just shows the quality of your musicianship. And you know, your bands are fun, man. The Hanky Panks, I have a blast at those shows. You guys got a little comedy act going there as well as music.
You know, we approach the Hanky Panks a bit sideways from the way I would approach like even the Fun Size back in the day and some of the other bands I was in that were a little more kind of rehearsed and structured and such. In that, if you look at the lineup we have on stage, so Brian Cafferty, my other lead vocalist, plays some tambourine and some harmonica on some songs and such, and he's the showman. He's got a musical theater degree from NKU, so I mean, yeah, I'm sure you can see that just in the way he kind of conducts himself. And Richard Stoneley on the bass guitar. He's been in the band actually longer than I have. I joined the band officially in 2013. It had been around since I think about 2006 or so with a different keyboard player, C.D. Thomas, who was like a dueling piano guy, actually worked the circuit, and the Hanky Panks was his side project with Brian. But he ended up moving away in the 2013 timeframe, and I stepped in. And then we have had what I would consider like the Spinal Tap revolving door of drummers. I think this band has had probably 20, 22 drummers since I joined. And I don't remember how many were in it before. Mike Roberts is our drummer now. He's been with us since about August or so.
Are you guys that tough on drummers or what?
I don't know. I mean, we've gone through times where we deliberately would platoon 3 or 4 guys, and then other times where we would have somebody that would hang with us for a while. And I mean, anybody that's on here watching that has been in a band where you've not had that, there's been some role in the band that's not been consistent. It's been usually the drummer slot. It's bad to say, but oftentimes they join other bands, they move away, they get carpal tunnel syndrome. You know, everything has happened. And the Fun Size was the same way for a little while until we got Shake Spalding in the band, and he stuck with us for about 4 or 5 years. But yeah, we go through bouts of consistency. We got a consistent guy right now. So hey, Seven West, how you doing, brother? I'm seeing some of it come across here in there while I'm gabbing here. But
a lot of our Thursday night friends are coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know if we're hard on drummers as much as it's like life circumstance, you know, because it's just like people doing jobs. They come and go. They change jobs. Something else is a fit, you know. Sometimes it just runs its course and someone moves on, and it's all good. I mean, it's all one big music community, and we all keep in touch and all that. It's just sometimes you see the players move around a little bit.
Well, tell me about the name Hanky Panks. There's a little story behind it, I think, right?
Well, so Hanky Panks, my understanding is, and I was in the band several years before I even realized what it was. Now, why Brian named it the Hanky Panks, I don't know. But a Hanky Panks is like this little small sort of treat thing. It almost looks like, I have to use appropriate words here. I forget what the meat concoction is. You put on like a cracker or something like that. Maybe somebody around here that knows a little bit about what these are. I know we had a Hanky Panks gig, I think somewhere in the last 3 or 4 months or so, where Dixie Roberts, I think, showed up with like a whole tray full of these Hanky Panks things. I don't really prefer them. It's not my favorite food, to say the least.
There we go. Well, that's the name, though. All right.
It is. That's the origin.
And you know, you're mentioning a lot of names and people, and obviously we were out this past Friday night at Rick's Tavern with you guys, and enjoyed an evening with the Hanky Panks, and Acoustic Blue played before you and just did a great job. But you guys brought it. That last couple sets, man, the dance floor was humming, the place was up and having fun. It was Dixie's birthday, obviously a whole bunch of people there partying for that. But it's got to feel good to you to put on that kind of show. And from here on out, we're going to call Brian John, by the way, just so you know.
I think after what was he calling you, John?
John, yeah, he called me John.
Seth or something. I don't know.
John
at this
Hall.
point, you call him whatever you want. We'll make him famous under the wrong name. I'm looking forward to it.
Gotta love Brian, though. I mean, he puts on a heck of a show, too. He has just got the stage presence like none other. And one thing I admire about you guys, too, is you brought some people up on stage the last couple times I've seen you. You know, Stephanie Maples sang with you from Don't Tell Steve, and Acoustic Blue was there. They had Melissa Singer Reed get up and sing a song. It's really cool to see this community come together like that, and you guys just all enjoy the passion of music. And it's like, what are we going to play now? Okay, let's throw it out there at people. Let's see how it works, and that's see if it sticks on the wall, kind of thing.
Well,
I think that's so cool.
there's a few reasons we do it. One is it really is everybody on one team, and it is a big music community, and that's not only do we just enjoy mixing it up. I mean, there's nothing like bringing Stephanie or Melissa or Ann Coleman or somebody on stage to kind of help spice up the show, and maybe it just shifts the show just a little bit, in the midst, so that it just kind of makes it pop a little bit when you got different people coming up that are going to kill it. And Stephanie has come up with this the last couple times. Another reason, kind of really, that I brought Stephanie on stage at Trillions Sports Bar and Grill, which was named the Show on 42 until about 2 weeks ago over in Westchester, was that she was trying to get Don't Tell Steve into Trillions, and figured, well, what better way to give a sense to the bookers there as to what Don't Tell Steve does than let's just bring Stephanie up to do a couple songs. And Stephanie Maples, if you bring her up, there's no way she's not going to just bring it
every time.
That was a slam dunk. I think the next day she had like 3 dates. So I mean, it works well that way. And and we just enjoy working together as one big community. And it's been in most years very difficult for us to really get everybody that we want around us, so that way we have those options to bring people up and down from stage. Because if you look at like pre-COVID, like Don't Tell Steve would be playing all the time, Deviate all the time, Hanky Panks all the time, Fun Size all the time. When I, to the degree I can be in 2 places at once, and we really, Acoustic Blue all the time, and Hi-Fi Honey all the time, and we just wouldn't be able to see each other. But things have kind of spaced out a little bit due to COVID. The gigs are just really starting to come back in. And while we're in this kind of honeymoon period in the middle where live music is back, but not everybody's 100% utilized yet, we have these opportunities, and we're going to capitalize them on these. Absolutely. And I think it's a lot of fun.
Well, and that says a lot. You brought Stephanie on stage here. She gets booked, immediately. And you're right. She brings it every time she hits the stage, and what a talent she has. And you can never go wrong putting her on a microphone with you. I think that's a cool thing to do. So before, I want to talk a lot about the jam session at Bell and the Bear. But before we do that, I want to know who some of your musical influences are in your life. And, because I know you, for a while there, you played a lot of country. And when I see you at the jam session, country's not the focus of that, and it's interesting to see, and it's not the Hanky Panks focus either, really. So, where are you at musically with your influences and so on?
Yeah, so it seems a bit schizophrenic in terms of kind of where I'm at, and if you come see any one of my projects, what you get is, I mean, other than Eyes Up Here and the Hanky Panks, which is really the Hanky Panks and Hanky Panks Light, we actually used to refer to Eyes Up Here as the Hanky Panks Duo. Then we gave it its own name because it was becoming confusing from a business perspective in terms of budget and how many members there were and such. So we just gave it its own name. But other than those 2 things, if you come see a Kevin Cooper solo show, or you see when I had the Regal Beagles together, or if you come on a Thursday night to the Bell and the Bear, every one of these things is a different product. And I'm fortunate really to be able to pull from a number of things that I've done. So I grew up, my parents were huge country music fans. So if you come see a solo show, you'll hear a lot of my old classic country influence in a lot of that stuff. And Hanky Panks is more of a party band. So we're picking anything from like Sinatra and Bobby Darin all the way up to Justin Bieber. And really what we're trying to do is kind of pick songs that kind of fit into our brand, which is, occasionally we'll try to do a song and deliver it well, but I mean, we're kind of hitting things sideways with this comedy thing. And if it's a song that feeds into that, then we do it, and it generally works pretty well. But I mean, I've been in the bands that have done the party band and the classic country stuff, and we dress up in the suits and play Carlo and Johnny and all of that. And it's good to be able to mix it up. And my influences are everywhere. Like when I got into high school, I got big into the British invasion stuff. So I went back, and because I really wasn't focused on it much till I was about 16, 17. I started picking up all the Beatles and the Who and Derek and the Dominoes, and just like anything that was British invasion, and started to put a lot of that in my repertoire. And then once I got into college, I started picking up a lot more of the 80s and some of the early 90s rock that was current and such, and have been trying to keep up somewhat as time goes on. I don't find the current top 40 as palatable as I did 20 years ago, but there's still some gems in there. You just really have to dig.
Well, yeah, you guys did a Bruno Mars tune that's only been out like 3 weeks or something the other
We did Leave the Door
Yeah.
Open, which is the Silk Sonic song. That's the Bruno and Anderson .Paak's new band. And that's only been around 3 or 4 weeks, and I think we did an okay version of it at Rick's on Friday. We didn't nail it, but I think the effect was there. And what I found is it's oftentimes I see Heather Mattingly actually explained what the hanky pank
Yes, I
not
saw
so
that as
tasty
well.
treat is, which is great. um, yeah, so what I found oftentimes is I get a song to about 85-90% ready, and then like, let's just ship it. Let's get it out there, because we know we're performers and we're entertainers. Even if a song doesn't go 100%, then we can usually make that work. And we dial it in pretty quickly. I mean, nothing refines a song, a new song to repertoire quite like just putting it on stage and let her rip. And I mean, we don't want to get up there and have no clue what we're doing. I save that for other shows, but we have a pretty good firm grip on what we're doing when we put a new song up.
Absolutely. And it's a cool show. And guys, if you've never seen the Hanky Panks, you're watching this even after we're live here and you're watching the show, please go out and see these guys, or Eyes Up Here, or catch Kevin at the jam session on Thursday night, because first of all, that jam session, you do a remarkable job of managing this. And this is a full-time job. And between you and Kathy Laverde and Jim Cuesta, and occasionally Dave Rock and Roll Moody, who
actually says he will be here. He will be at the jam session this week, he said.
Good. I like to hear that. Yep. It's one of those things it's magical. That night is magical. And it took a lot of people out of the depression of the COVID and all the things, and gave them a purpose to come see music. And I've been there now for numerous months, and I can tell you, I try to go every Thursday. And if you miss a Thursday, you really feel kind of down, because it's just that zen night of the week where you can see and hear some of the greatest players in the Cincinnati region. And there's no egos. It's all just cool. And I like that. But maybe you can touch on the Bell Jam a little bit and chat about that, about how you guys manage it, and what your goal is for that jam session.
Yeah, I'll try to give a 30-second kind of background on how this thing started. It's really been very serendipitous how this whole thing has come together, because I don't think any one of us, if we sat down and had a meeting and tried to articulate or plan how you would do something that has ascended to where it is, there's no way it would have worked. So, as I mentioned before, I was helping co-host an open jam at Diggs Bar and Grill in Mason last summer, and I was doing that. Actually, I kind of jumped on with Dave Moody and Jim Cuesta doing that event, and Karis checked it out and decided let's try to maybe do something on Thursday nights, because that was a night of week that she currently didn't, or at the time didn't have anything really going on. So let's give it a shot and see where it goes. So she was working primarily with Dave to try to get that done. And then we put it together, and then of course Jim went along with Dave. I wasn't there for the first 3 or 4 weeks, because I still had a schedule of Thursday night solo shows that I was kind of burning off. And once those did, I was there every week as well. I was originally not one of the co-hosts, but Karis kind of nudged me in the direction of, see if you can kind of help kind of drive what's going on a little bit. And so I did, and we really kind of got a really good team around us. I mean, there's a number of components. It's not simply put a bunch of gear on stage and invite people to sign up and put them on stage, and boom, you fill the room every week. It doesn't really work that way. It's really a combination of the people we got involved. You've got Jim, who knows, I think, at like 500,000 songs or something.
Oh my gosh!
I may or may not be exaggerating.
The music professor.
You got Dave Moody, who's just like this tall, like very present guy. He's very charismatic, but he's like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I've known Dave for about 6 years, and he's just one of the most genuine people I've ever met, to be honest. Karis, the owner of the Bell and the Bear, same way. One of the nicest people I've ever met. Very professional. I would trust this lady to run any enterprise I had. I mean, she just knows what she's doing. And she's not only a bar owner, and not only does she bring bands in, she loves live music. I mean, she is all about it. and everybody in the room knows who she is. She's not the owner that's like off in the back all the time that you have to try to find. She's working her room all the time. We got Kathy Laverde, who is our house bass player for the band. Occasionally, she'll step aside, let John Michael or Rick Dews kind of help open the night, but she's kind of what we would consider the face of Thursday Night Jam Session, and I say that because she makes sure she talks to everybody in the room and makes sure they're welcome. We're glad you came, and she does that oftentimes when Jim and I get very busy, and you've seen us, and you know, as you mentioned at the top of the show, it's very difficult to get our attention between 6 p.m. and 11:30 because we're just moving. You know, we're just trying to keep the thing going. And so it's just everybody and the talents they bring, even outside of the musical talents they bring to the stage in this core team, as I just described. That's really the secret sauce, I guess, is in there somewhere. And I don't even know how to completely articulate it.
Well, it's magic. It's magic.
It really has been. And we've had to figure out, okay, we caught this lightning in a bottle, as we say. And then how do we continue to make it not only an inclusive event for the musicians and the singers that come to participate, but we have this additional, I wouldn't call it a load necessarily, but it's this additional kind of responsibility or awareness that we have that we are not what you would consider a traditional open jam or an open mic, because when I come in an hour and a half early to set up, all the tables are already taken up. I mean, we've already got a room full of people coming in. We've had lines out the door waiting. We're hoping that eases up considerably now that it's warm and we can start moving people outside. But I mean, we have an audience. I mean, we're pulling an audience every week, and we can't execute it as we would normally do, like an open mic, where you just take everybody in first come, first serve order. So
yeah, it's an orchestration, and you know, you were talking. I want to mention Kathy because you were exactly right on that. She is the best ambassador for Jam Night that there is, because she works that room like a champ, man. She gets around, sees everybody, and makes you feel welcome. From the first time I ever met her, and that was years ago, watching Danny play in a band, she has just struck me as one of those charismatic people who draws you into wherever she is and whatever she's doing. And that's so important. Jim, the music professor, like you said, I'd love to play Stump the Band with him. And then, of course, you and your ability to hit the ground run, like I said, and play some songs amazes me. But for everybody that's watching, if they haven't been to the Open Jam, I want to touch on this just for a minute. I'm going to pin you down a little bit because it's one of those things that people need to understand. Tri-state, and you know, they'll put you on a list. Okay, coming up next is this one, and to me it gets a little bit sometimes stripperish. You know, on the main stage next is this person, and you know, it's not that
destiny. And you like the UPA where you can barely hear anything. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I like to say cinnamon on the main stage, but
well, everybody's got their preferences.
It is so different at the Bell and the Bear. First of all, the atmosphere, like you said, these are music people. They are there to see music. You won't hear everybody in like you do in some places just chatting over the people singing and playing. They are there to focus and they're laser focused on the music. They want to know what's happening. And that to me separates it from all the others. And I'm not knocking anybody's open mic night. Believe me, there's plenty of them. I think it's a great opportunity for musicians.
Oh, I run other ones myself. You know, this is just a very different product.
Yeah. You just can't come in there and expect. And a friend of our show, Andy Pruitt, was there last week. He didn't make it on stage. You know, I mean, he's your old pal Don Pruitt, as he's known, but you know, he was on the list, didn't make it on stage. And sometimes you have to explain that to people and say, you know, what's up and why that happens and why, you know, somebody might get up there and do 2 or 3 songs and somebody might do 1 song. But the big focus is obviously, Kevin, on how you guys manage this. And I know that for the most part, nobody comes in there with an ego, and everybody comes in there and enjoys their night. And that's what makes it fun for me. I love it.
You know, there's, as you have labeled this very accurately, musical mayhem. And I liken this more to, I think I was up in Chicago several years ago, and I saw some comedy thing over on Navy Pier where there was a comedy act and they had like a full band up there with like a small string section and such. And they went through this whole thing where they took an idea from the audience and they said, okay, give us an idea. And maybe 2 sentences of plot. They build a whole like musical on the fly with like the improv, the long form improv, and the music going on, and tried to make so on their feet. Like the music conductor's got to coordinate with the stage manager and all that, and they're trying to figure out how to make a thing flow. So this isn't quite like that, of course, but I think where the similarity is we start at 7 o'clock, and our goal is to run continuous for 4 hours and make this a show. And in doing that, we bring up people that sign up on the list. So when you sign up on the list, you're not coming up like in your traditional open mic where you're getting your 3 songs and you're playing solo. We're plugging you into the course. So there's a house band that starts playing for the first. I like to keep it down to about 15 minutes, but it ends up going about 20 or 25. And then we start basically like it's just like tagging people in and out. Like, okay, so the way this will work if you're a musician or singer coming in is you check in with Kathy Laverde. She's now the gatekeeper. It used to be me, and I was just getting overwhelmed trying to kind of run the stage and also keep track and make sure we get everybody up. So Kathy is your check-in point. You sign up, and then you also tell her a little bit about, unless she knows who you are, of course, from prior weeks, like what instruments you play, what your musical preferences are, what kind of, if you've got specific songs you'd like to do, or maybe give us a couple artists or something that where you're really deep on their material. And then oftentimes what we'll try to do is pair up singers and musicians and such and bring up multiple people at once, just in the interest of making sure everybody gets up. I mean, I think about 6 or 7 weeks ago, we went into page 4 on signups.
Wow.
And about an hour and a half before the end of the night, I had to get on the mic and say, just like, I'm going to level with everybody right now. I think you were there. Like, we're not going to get to everybody, but to get to as many of you as possible, there's some things that I want you to keep in mind, such as if you're playing guitar or bass, come up already in tune, like already have tuned. If you need a headstock tuner, I have several, and that kind of thing. So anyway, so Kathy, Ben, from the signups is figuring out what the flow needs to look like. So she's more or less scripting the night based on who signs up. And then she's just giving Jim and I the information, and we're on stage basically managing this. So Jim's running the sound, and then I'm making sure that we've got everybody in position, make sure I know what we're going to do song-wise. I kind of quarterback everybody that's on stage, drummers, bass players, and such. And then we just go. And between all of us, we know enough songs that if we don't know the first song somebody requests, usually we know the second one. So we do our best based on the knowledge we have to try to bring everybody up, and professionals and amateurs alike, you know, and we do kind of weigh it a little bit. Like if we get half of DV8 up there and they're really killing it and the room is just hopping, they might get an extra song. But we try to make sure we include as many people as possible. There are unfortunately those weeks where we just get way too many signups. We don't get them up there, but then we always go back and look and prioritize them for the next week. It's okay. If we didn't get you up this week, we'll get you a song or two extra on the following week if you're there. So we try to make sure everybody's included. We try to really kind of lean into the community, and we appreciate people that come to see our shows and our bands and such. We try to just get everybody involved. I mean, it's all one big family, whether you're a musician or you're a spectator. I mean, it's all, we're all one room, we're one community.
Well, we appreciate it, Kevin. It's one of the greatest nights of the week. And like I said, it brought a lot of us through some bad times this past year where music was so suppressed in the area, and we didn't get a chance to get out and see the bands we love to see. And it's fun to get out now and do some of those things, just as seeing the Hanky Panks as I have the last few weeks, and enjoyed that a lot with you and you're up there, and John Bryan, as I'm going to call him from here on out. But really, like some good stuff. Yeah, really, really, really fun. And one last thing I want to touch on before we let everybody go today. And again, guys, if you're watching after we're live, please drop some comments for us. Let us know what's going on. And we've got some people out here saying some good comments. Chris Reese, who's there on Thursdays as well. Seven West. Some great people that come in and play on Thursday nights if you want to catch them at Bell and the Bear. But before we let you go, Kevin, talk about any future plans you might have, and where everybody can find you out there, and maybe some upcoming shows or social media stuff.
Yeah, so right now we're staying the course. The Thursday nights don't really seem to show any sign of slowing down. It's an event that I don't know could have started up in any other year under any other circumstances, because we had this kind of brought all the professionals out to the street for a little bit, and we're going to keep that going because it's working. As for this year, we talked about maybe a couple other projects spinning up, but we're still kind of just pacing ourselves and looking at what may happen. Jim Quest and I may have a more of a kind of a tribute project starting up later in the year, but we're still kind of working that. In the meantime, it's Eyes Up Here in the Hanky Panks and Thursday nights and some occasional solo shows, and we're looking forward to getting back out on some patios. And like this summer, we've got stuff coming up at Riverside Marina and Pirates Cove down on the river. Just start getting back outside. Speaking of which, this week I've got Thursday night at the Bell and the Bear, co-hosting with Jim and such. Dave Moody will be back this week. Friday night I've got Eyes Up Here at Gano Tavern in Westchester, and that hopefully will be the first patio show of the season. I'm honestly afraid to look at a 5-day forecast because then I'll get my hopes up, and then you never know, the cloud will come in. Then I'll be at Hangar Barn Grill in Westchester playing solo on Saturday evening. This will be the first time I've been back there in about 6 months. My friend Samantha Chateau is celebrating her birthday party there that night, so we should have a good turnout. And as her husband put on their Facebook event, come watch Samantha get old. So I guess that's what I'll be doing while I play guitar and singing.
Well, it sounds great. And Kevin, I can't thank you enough for being on the show today and being a part of this with us. It's always fun to talk to you. I don't get a chance to ever sit down and really pick your brain much as we're all so busy, but it's good to have you with us. I'll give you a little sneak peek too. I'm going to tell the folks out there that are watching today, because we've got a lot of folks from the Bell and the Bear on here. Coming up in a couple weeks, we're going to feature a show called The Southern Bells. And the Southern Bells are going to have Melissa Singer-Reed, Ann Coleman, Heather Mattingly, Brandy. I'll be on there. Kathy will be on. Karis will be on with us. We're going to have all the ladies of the Bell and the Bear Jam who are coming onto the show with us. So we're looking forward to that as well, and going to be some fun. Lori's on here. Hi, Lori, checking in. Good to see you. And Kevin, thank you so much, my friend. It's been great talking to you today.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, this is a rare treat. I think this is more words than we've exchanged since I've known you combined. It's just because we're always running. So this is good to have the break.
Well, you guys can follow Kevin at Kevin Cooper Music on Facebook if you want to see all his dates and times and events. Follow the Bell and the Bear for the Thursday night jam, and you can find that stuff out on there and what's going on and who might be special appearing, because there's been some superstars roll through there you got to see. Kevin, have a great day, man. We'll catch you Thursday night at the Bell.
I appreciate you, Scott. Say hi to Mrs. Hall Around Town Radio for me.
I will too as well. And thanks, folks, for watching today. We hope you've enjoyed the show here. We've been on Wednesday with the band with Kevin Cooper, and we'll bring you next week some programming here as well with another local musician and artist. So check in with us every Wednesday for Wednesday with the band. We'll be back tomorrow on Thursday at Hall Around Town Radio with Who's Playing Out in the Tri-State, brought to you by Froggy's in Monroe, where we feature the best musicians in the tri-state area, and where they're playing, let you plan your weekend. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you next time right here at Hall Around Town Radio.